God left you there for a reason. Isaiah 55, 8-9, King James Version. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. A man went with his children to a gathering. The gathering was for the children, and gifts would be given. When they got there were a lot of children. They were all allowed to enter the same time. They did not sit according to how early they came. This man left the gathering to pick up something in the car. When he got back, he told his children to leave where they were sitting and told them to sit at the back. They were surprised, because even if they will share gifts, it is ideal to start from the front and it will get to where they were sitting, but going to the back is strange. The man convinced his children to sit at the back. When it was close to the end of the gathering, they started sharing gifts, and they started from the back. These kids got gifts first. They asked their dad how he knew this. He told them he heard the organizers talking about how there are more children than gifts, and their gifts will not be enough. And since they did not sit according to how early they came, they should start giving the gifts from the back and not to disturb the program. This is the same thing that God is telling us to do, and we are complaining. He is telling us to leave that front seat and go to the back seat where we will be blessed more, but we are complaining. We don't like it that way. We want the front seat instead. Are we more intelligent than God? Do you see what God sees? God knows better than we can ever know. If He tells you to do something, or if He puts you somewhere, it is not because He wants you to suffer, but because He wants you to be blessed. The problem we have is that we don't always open our eyes to see beyond what our physical eyes can see. We don't open our eyes to see the blessings that God has given. We don't open our eyes to see the blessings that the Lord has surrounded us with. All we know how to do is complain and blame God. We all know about KFC now. We order chicken from them. We talk about them, but do you know the story of the owner? KFC was started by Colonel Harlan Sanders. He started by selling fried chicken in his roadside restaurant during the time of the Great Depression. It was just an ordinary restaurant that was not popular. Sanders did not complain of his condition. He did not say, why is he making fried chickens instead of being an engineer, a doctor, a pilot, or a billionaire? He did not complain, but instead, he worked hard to make the restaurant big. Where are you now? The job you are doing, are you seeing greatness in it? Are you seeing yourself becoming great through that job? God has blessed you so much you are allowing your physical conditions to close your eyes from seeing the blessings. This is the time to open your eyes. This is the time to know what you are doing. This is the time to accept where God has left you and start seeing the opportunities of being there. Jeff Bezos worked at McDonald's when he was 16. He was restricted to the kitchen. He was not allowed to interact with the customers. Jeff used this to learn about leadership and customers. Now, he is the richest man in the world. Where are you now? No matter the situation, God has put you there to understand some things. He has put you there to know things that you ought to know. Job was a man who was tried in many ways. We know the story of Job. He was wealthy, and the Lord blessed him with many things. He lost everything in the end. His livestock, his children, everything was destroyed. Job acknowledged the fact that God allowed this for a purpose. God made him go through this for a purpose. Job 23:10, King James Version. But he knoweth the way that I take. When he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. Look, you have to allow God to work on you. It may not be easy. It may not be exciting, but the result is always great. We always pray that we want God to bless us. We want God to do this or do that, but we don't want to go through the processes of getting what we have asked for. We cannot say that God should bless us when we are not ready to go through the true process. What you are going through is a process. What seems to be a challenge to you is a process that when you come out of it, you will be as pure as gold. You know how gold is purified. If you want to see gold in its beautiful shining state, you must put it inside the fire. It must go through the fire. It must be beaten, and in the end, you will get a beauty. The sword you can see and call a great sword went through fire. It was beaten. If these did not happen, the sword will not be great. How can you be called a warrior if you have not been to battle? How can you be called a conqueror if you have not fought any battles? This life is filled with challenges that you must face. You must not complain that God allowed you to face them. If God refuses to allow you to face these things, how will you become great? These challenges are the stepping stones to greatness. David was just a shepherd boy looking after the herd. He did not complain that his father and brothers are sending him to the field to look after the herd. He did not ask for a better place. He did his job diligently. David did not just look after the herd. He used the opportunity to gather experience in fighting. Many times the beasts will come to take his father's sheep, but he will go after it and kill the beast. If David had been complaining that he wasn't given a better job, he wouldn't have had the experience to fight Goliath. 1 Samuel 17:34-35, King James Version. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion, and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Why are you wasting time complaining instead of getting ready for a greater position? Where are you today? God has left you there for a reason. God knows what He is doing. He is not confused. He is not just playing games with you. God doesn't play games. He wants to prepare you for a greater position. Don't say God has forgotten you. After you have gathered, you need to move to the next stage in life. It will not take God anything to move you. If you think God has left you in the situation you find yourself, if you think the situation is too hard for you and you are doubting if God is with you, I want you to hold unto this promise that the Lord made. You know God is not a liar, and He will never break His promises. God said in Isaiah 43:2, King James Version, that when thou passest through the waters, I will be with thee, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow thee. When thou walkest through the fire, thou shalt not be burned, neither shall the flame kindle upon thee. This is the word of the Lord. This is the promise of God to you. Will you still doubt Him? Can you gladly go through that fire and come out as pure gold with high value? Can you gladly go through the water and come out like a fountain? Can you accept the challenge and come out as a warrior? You are a chosen generation. You have been selected to great exploits. You must go through the process of becoming great.